This is Winging It, the somewhat whimsical, certainly whirring, decidedly wonky, seldom weighty, endlessly well-intentioned, and wildly witty show about music where one knows what's coming and the other doesn't. And it happens in between both proper to ensure you can spend a fuckload of time with us. Again, a scientific measurement. So now, again, the moment you've been waiting for, the big reveal. Today we'll be talking about the 10 most infamous band feuds in rock history. Because why not? So being in a band can be tough. When you're writing songs, recording albums, touring the world, and doing it all with the same exact people every day, relationships can become a little stressed. So there's some civil wars that are brewing, some that are familiar to you, some may be new, but this is from our friends at Paste Magazine, so thank you, Paste. Number 10, the Rolling Stones.
Oh, yeah.
Mick Jagger versus
Keith Richards.
The two rock gods have been standing beside each other on a stage for around 50 years, and during that span, they've done their share of feuding. However, in later years, it seems that Jagger and Richards have finally outgrown their differences because, obviously, the Stones embarked on several financially successful and peaceful tours. So it looks like Richards decided to publish an autobiography in 2010 in which he called Jagger's manhood a tiny dodger. Mick demanded a formal apology before he would tour with the band again, and he got one. The two are currently on good terms. Now, I will say, if you're in a band for that long, 50 years, you're bound to rub up against each other the wrong way.
And it's actually been 60 for the Rolling Stones.
Oh, shit, it's been 60, that's right.
Since the 1960s. Yeah, it's been 60 years now.
Oh, my God. I mean, you hope that you like people like a week later, you know, but let alone 60 years. And then you have, I mean, obviously any creative endeavor is going to lead to disagreements and, you know, I think it should be this way. I think it should be this way. And then also there's the thing that gets in the way. You saw Almost Famous, right? Mm-hmm. The thing that gets in the way where one person or the front person or somebody is considered the front person and they're getting all the accolades or all the attention and the whole band, it's a unit. It's not a person. So it's a whole thing. But then now in the digital age, you know, you see a lot of bands where, you know, the front person or the female or the male, whatever, are the thing that are the focus, even though it's not their band, it's a full band. It's a thing. So all of that can lead to that. I'm not sure what the nature of their disagreements were. Do you have any insight on that?
Well, I never heard that moronic story before, but I do know that, in the early 80s, the Rolling Stones, Jagger and Richards were barely speaking, and they made a record that nobody liked called Dirty Work, which I liked, you know. But they made up, and they've been, you know, of course they have now been, it's now been 60 years. But I know it's just been, there's been tension there, but mostly it was relegated to one period, and I didn't know what it was about, though.
Just seems like something normal, but some of these feuds seem abnormal. So Simon and Garfunkel.
Oh, I never, yeah.
Do you know why?
No, I just know that Paul Simon doesn't like Art Garfunkel.
The two folk musicians recorded their last album, 1970's highly successful Bridge Over Troubled Water, at a time when their personal relationship was rapidly deteriorating. The two couldn't decide on the 12th and final song on the album and refused to record each other's choices. So the album was released with only 11 tracks. That's when you know you're getting really, really shitty and petty.
Wow.
Then, in the late 80s, a reunion album was planned, but Simon unexpectedly removed Garfunkel's vocals and released the disc solo.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
A couple years later, when the duo was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Art made a mature decision to put the past behind him and publicly praised Paul for his songwriting ability. Paul responded by saying, "Arthur and I agree about almost nothing, but it's true. I have enriched his life quite a bit."
Oh, wow. But it is true. And for those who don't know, Paul Simon writes all the songs, and he had his own solo career. I prefer Simon and Garfunkel to Paul Simon solo.
Yeah, I don't like Paul Simon solo at all.
I like him solo, okay, but they're
all.
better together. Although Garfunkel's lead vocals and harmonies are absolutely stellar, and it made Paul Simon's songs that much better. He didn't write them, and it's funny. I mean that he didn't even defer in that instance. Of course, Simon probably wanted him to, but that he stood his ground. But yeah, I've heard that Simon doesn't like Garfunkel because of his ego or whatever. I don't know. What the deal is.
Well, they both seem to have pretty big egos.
Yeah, I think they do. They've gotten back together, of course, for various reunions over the years because they're still a big draw. But Almost Famous declares them to be on pot, and who knows, but they're wonderful when they're together. I wish they could get along. So there was a funny skit on Saturday Night Live with Paul Simon was on, and Charles Grodin was sitting next to him, but he had this big fuzzy yellow wig, and Simon was like, "That's really disconcerting," because he was not getting on with Garfunkel at the moment. But yeah, that's sad.
Well, I think if you think about it, it's like any family or any brotherhood or sisterhood. I mean, you're going to fight, and there are some families who don't talk for a variety of reasons, and it's kind of the same sort of thing. Just we wish they would talk because we like their music,
Honestly, that whole concept has eluded me because I'm really an easy person to get along with, but whatever. But I know some people just butt heads. So.
Yeah, I mean, but if you have a strong feeling about something that's a creative endeavor and it's yours.
Yeah. Well, I got to hand it to him. I don't know how people sharing songwriting credits, that has always seemed very weird to me. I know it keeps a lot of the equilibrium and everything, but if somebody writes a song by themselves, but it's just one of those agreements where the other person gets credited, I don't like that idea much.
I mean, if the person's playing on it and the person is adding their ideas and their thoughts to it, just because you wrote it doesn't mean it's not part of kind of a... Now two people wrote it, like Lennon and
McCartney. Yeah.
I mean, you can't just say John Lennon wrote everything. You can't just say McCartney. So I think it was smart, but I do think that when you're in a band, if you're not the people that are writing it and recording it, like we do, for example, they're adding something to our live shows. They may not be adding anything to the recording, but they're adding stuff to our live shows. So. It's a thing, especially if you're a band and you're writing and recording stuff together. But if you have people who are writing it, it's dicey. It's real dicey, and that writing credit is money.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's part of it. Keeps things balanced.
Yeah.
And
so
having
crazy.
having collaborated with a lot of people too, you do. It's like, oh, how do I tell them I don't like that? I want them to do something different, and little tensions. Thankfully, they've been few, but I can see in professional career acts like this how that would be magnified.
Absolutely. Have you heard of the one between the Everly brothers, Don Everly and Phil Everly?
No, I don't think so. Yeah.
Interestingly enough, the Everly brothers were actually on tour with Simon and Garfunkel in 1973 when their own relationship troubles were exposed in the middle of a California show. Phil unexpectedly stopped playing and walked off stage.
No.
Don responded by promptly informing the shocked audience that the Everly brothers were officially finished.
Damn.
They reportedly kept their distance from each other for an entire decade before reforming in 1983 for a reunion concert.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, you just say the word brothers, and I'm like, yeah, it's going to happen. I'm sorry.
There's nothing's ever going to make me okay with somebody walking off stage like that. I mean, without being injured or something like that. If you just say no, I'm going to stop the show. I mean, there are the fans to think of, But,
yeah, that sucks. Yeah. And they paid to be there,
yeah.
So. Pink Floyd, David Gilmour, and Roger Waters.
Oh, yeah. Well known. I'm not versed on the details, but I know those two really don't like each other much.
They hate each other. They were one of the most successful and influential rock bands of the 70s and early 80s, but toward the end of the latter decade, the rockers' era was waning. Bassist Roger Waters announced his departure and embarked on his own solo tour, informing the rest of the Gilmour-headed band that they were barred from using the name Pink Floyd or using his inflatable pig. The two parties, obviously, ended up in a legal battle, with Waters telling Rolling Stone at the time, if one of us was going to be called Pink Floyd, it's me. That's my pig on their stage. That's my plane crashing. The court eventually sided with Gilmour and the rest of the band, and it wasn't until 2005 that Waters performed again with Pink Floyd.
Oh, I see. The court sided with Gilmour as far as letting him use the name Pink Floyd.
Of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Well, even though Roger Waters probably did more of the songwriting, Gilmour's contributions were so huge in writing and singing and playing. There's no way he does not deserve to be called Pink Floyd.
Well, I think that's the thing. Yeah. Again, if you write all the songs and if you have a big enough ego, you will shut other people out, and that causes friction.
But a lot of them also were, collaborative efforts of all four of them writing songs. And Pink Floyd did put out an album without, an almost entirely instrumental album without Waters called The Endless River. And, it's pretty good. I mean, you've heard it before, most of it, but it's still good.
Yeah. Well, what about the Beatles, John Lennon versus Paul McCartney?
Oh, goodness.
After the death of their manager, Brian Epstein, in 1967, the Beatles found themselves headed for a breakup. McCartney took over the reins, but Lennon later said it was just leading the band around in circles. That's what he was doing. And the group split in 1970. Lennon then released How Do You Sleep in 1971, taking a dig at McCartney by singing, "The only thing you did was yesterday. The sound you made is music to my ears. How do you sleep?"
Wow.
Years after Lennon's death, McCartney made a sly jab at Lennon by reversing the order of the famously trademarked songwriting credit, Lennon and McCartney, on 2002's Back in the U.S. Live album. However, McCartney has since stated that he is now content to keep the credits as they originally were on future works.
Oh, shit. He was doing Beatles songs on a live album and writing McCartney, Lennon. Oh, damn. Oh.
That's that petty shit. That's where you go. You go right to petty, and I don't understand that. But apparently, again, egos are inflamed, and when the egos are inflamed, then that's what happens.
And I have not really watched a whole lot of the footage, and I should probably, but I don't like to see band drama. But the footage of the Beatles in the studio. But a lot of people say you watch that stuff and you come away with the idea that Paul McCartney is insufferable. You know, some people say. Although John Lennon seems like a very difficult person too.
I think they both have their Achilles heels, and they both are assholes at times, or at least were to each other. Guns N' Roses, Axl versus Guns N' Roses.
That's versus the world, yeah.
Yep, you read that right. The legendary metal singer has somehow managed to go through as many as 20 different musicians over his band's nearly 30-year existence. Just check out the unexpectedly informative chart via Wikipedia. He's been called one of the most difficult people to work with in the history of rock, but one of his lowest moments came in 2009 during an interview with Spinner when he dogged former bandmate Slash. Personally, I consider Slash a cancer and better removed, avoided, and the less anyone heard of him or his supporters, the better.
Damn.
Whether Rose had intended the stab to cut extra deep on account of Slash's mother's recent Whether Rose had intended the stab to cut extra deep on account of Slash's mother's recent cancer-related death is unknown.
Good Lord,
but
I hope it was just
didn't sit too well with his former bandmate regardless.
Yeah, I mean, he could have just thought, this is just an allegory, and it could have just popped into his head. But
I don't think so.
Terrible, unfortunate timing.
Or
very ghoulish, one or the other.
Absolutely. I do think, again, petty as fuck and childish and immature. I think power corrupts, and they all, were, kind of higher than any of them ever thought they would be, and they can't happen. They just can't look down. And if they do, all they see is everyone else. So it's disgusting.
When you're high, you never want to look down. It's from the song.
I know. I couldn't help myself.
Unrelated tangent. I'm telling you, I frigging love those color-coded Wikipedia charts of band memberships. This person was into this year and then this year. And I love that shit.
I don't look at that stuff. I probably should. I'd be more prepared for our show. What about this? The Kinks, Ray Davies versus Dave Davies.
Yeah, the brothers. What is it with brothers in bands? Yeah. Well, I know they've had their differences. Yeah.
If there's one thing we've learned from compiling this list, it's rock bands composed of brothers are a recipe for well-publicized feuds.
I'm still waiting for another famous pair of brothers.
Oh, yeah. Though only 3 brotherly bands made our top 10 list, the proof is everywhere. Just look at what happened with Kings of Leon a couple years ago. Ray and Dave Davies are another perfect example. They've reportedly had a hard time getting along since their early childhood. Okay, then why be in a band together? What the fuck? But in 1996, Ray reportedly ruined his brother's 50th birthday party by jumping on top of his cake to declare his own genius.
Wow.
Dave had publicly declared his brother an asshole and has compared him to a toxic poison.
Wow.
They haven't performed together since the cake incident.
I thought I heard like a year ago that they were coming back, but I guess maybe they're not. But Ray is almost entirely the songwriter of the Kinks, so it seemed like he would want to ditch his brother. He could get a lead guitar player anywhere, But brother bands, I'm telling you.
That's the magic, though, was the brothers doing the thing. So
like Creedence Clearwater Revival, same thing,
Crazy. Well, what about the Beach Boys? Mike Love versus Brian Wilson.
Oh yeah.
Often called America's Band, the California Dudes have had a long history of legal issues surrounding songwriting credits, royalties, and usage of the band's name. Fuck, you guys, calm it down. These came to a public head in 2012 when Love unexpectedly fired Wilson and fellow original members Al Jardine and David Marks after a surprising reunion. The group had been touring for the band's 50th anniversary, but Love decided it was best not to get overexposed. I'm disappointed and can't understand why Love doesn't want to tour with Al, David, and me. Wilson told CNN when asked about the firing, "We are out here having so much fun. After all, we are the real Beach Boys." Love continues to tour under the Beach Boys name with a substitute band. And obviously we know that we lost Brian Wilson. So
yes, yeah.
Obviously that changes things quite a bit. But hopefully they were able to reconcile before his passing. Again, super tragic. This is the band we love to hate, Oasis. Noel Gallagher versus Liam Gallagher. The two brothers have admitted that they've been continually at odds ever since sharing a bedroom in their childhood home. Why are you in a band together then? Why? But over 30 years of fighting finally took its toll on the brothers the night of August 28, 2009. Do you know this story?
No.
Mere minutes before the band was set to take stage at a festival near Paris, they engaged in a violent backstage fight that reportedly involved Liam smashing his older brother's guitar. It was the second reported violent incident surrounding the brothers. Noel drove off, and the band's manager went on stage and canceled the show, saying Oasis does not exist anymore.
Damn, again?
2 hours later, a message from Noel appeared on the band's website reading, "I simply could not go on working with Liam a day longer. The two have not seen each other since."
Good Lord. It's usually not that bitter. Good.
Pretty bad. All right. And this last one comes from Far Out magazine because I wanted one more that was really far out. So this particular feud, everyone and Fleetwood Mac, everyone in it.
Versus everyone else.
That's right. By the time Fleetwood Mac became a fixture of 70s pop radio, they had already been through some of the most stressful pitfalls a band could ask for. After losing several frontmen like Peter Green and Bob Welch, the band were dealt another blow when their management got frustrated with them and hired a completely different act to tour as Fleetwood Mac without the original members. That's insane. As things finally smoothed over with Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks coming into the group, it was about time for shit to hit the fan again. After bassist and keyboardist John and Christine McVie went through a messy divorce, Buckingham and Nicks decided to call off their relationship as well, going into the recording of Rumors, channeling all their energy into their songs. The album turned into a musical soap opera, with every member writing songs about their breakups and forcing their exes to sing along with them. It's insane. What is wrong with us? While the album's success was the silver lining, it became a minor relief for the rest of the band. As the years went on, Buckingham and Nicks would grow more resentful of each other, including a band meeting in the 90s where Buckingham got into a physical fight with Nicks.
Wow.
Even though the drama always informed Fleetwood Mac's songs, it didn't stop the band members from being their own worst enemies. Wow.
Can you imagine a situation like that where it's like, you know, you're not only are you very successful, but you know you're really fucking good too. And it's like, wow, we're making great music together. Can I even stand to be with you long enough to keep making more of this great music? You know, I forget, but drummer Mick Fleetwood, I think, is not clear from this. So we have a five-piece band, two couples, and then we have Mick Fleetwood, the odd man out. But I think he was involved with somebody too. I just don't remember who. Stevie Nicks. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more of these feuds, and maybe we'll do a part 2 because there are so many and they're so gross. But I think the thing is this: when you have, and I mean, I say this, and I'm in a band with my husband, but I'm just saying, if you're in a band with somebody that you love and there aren't clear boundaries about doing what you're doing, there's going to be nothing but problems. And if there isn't a clear person who is kind of making the decisions, for me, if Bruce is the guy writing the songs, he gets to make the final call on a lot of things. Now, does he give me, the freedom to do what I want to do? Yeah, but at the end of the day, he's the music theory guy. He knows what's going on, and he wrote the songs. I don't write them. But
she means, to clarify, to minimize Christina's considerable talent, the instrumental music parts, yes, Bruce does. About half the lyrics are Christina's.
Yes, that's
but
correct.
Instrumentally, all that stuff is Bruce's.
That's true. Well, thank you. And I do, as I like to say lovingly, fuck with his melodies because I have to make them mine. But again, at the end of the day, when I think of whose songs they are, now my lyrics he'll give me, he'll say, well, how do you hear this? And sometimes It's the worst. And I can only imagine that this could, with people who were a little less mature maybe, could really throw a band into a tizzy is, sometimes I disagree with what he writes for music to my lyrics. And I don't know what I wanted, but I know that's not it.
Right, because in a sense, as you know, Christina is singing her own lyrics and Bruce's.
Yes.
Some of the songs are entirely his words and music.
Yes.
And so she has to sing his lyrics. But then if somebody takes yours and puts them into a melody and you're like,
I
that's
just
not
don't
exactly
feel it.
what I thought.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's got to be maddening.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the patience, but I think those things, those little infractions, when you have maybe an already strained relationship or you have some sort of power struggle going on, I'm not that person to have a power struggle. I'm like, okay.
No. The situations we're talking about are not the harmonious Baldwin household at all.
No, it's crazy. But again, I think if the egos were put aside and you were there for the art and for the fans, none of this shit could happen. But
right.
Again, we're human and we're very, very emotional, and we do what we do. And it makes great music sometimes, but then it makes for terrible little stories like this of drama and pain. But in the case of Fleetwood Mac, made for some incredible music. Even though it's dripping with disdain, it's still amazing. So anyway, thank you for going through these a few feuds. There are just dozens and dozens of horrible, hairy, disgusting feuds, and we'll maybe get into those in a part 2 if
I thought of
David
quite a few.
here.
More,
oh yeah, okay. So we're coming back with a part 2.
Totally
we'll
flopping on the ghost stories, but feuds, oh shit! And I don't even seek these out, but you can't
They're
avoid
everywhere.
them. Yeah.
They're everywhere. And maybe we should do one where we're thinking of great songs that resulted from these feuds, because I think there are some really great songs.
Like you mentioned, How Do You Sleep?
Oh, my goodness, yes.
And there are others. There are people dissing this guy, dissing that guy.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so public disses are a whole other level. Maybe that's another show, but... All right. Well, now that we've talked about feuds, and good news is we're not having one.
Yep. Neither is Ascent or Birds of a Feather having a feud.
No. So that only leaves for you to say,
let's fly this coop.
This has been Winging It, a presentation of Birds of a Feather, on What the Flock Radio.